Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Yes, this is the place where you can find the answers to your mental health, relationship, and family questions. I'm your host, Jim Hewitt. Glad you've tuned in today. I think you're going to find today's topic very interesting, so I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. So glad that you joined me again this week. Hey, if you looked around recently, if you could just see the scenery behind me, you will see that the seasons are changing. The seasons are changing. We're going into fall now. We've had. It seems like a long summer. It was a rather warm summer, but now things are beginning to change. I'm seeing the leaves on the trees are changing. The days are cooler. The nights are a little cooler. The days are shorter. Things are changing. And along with that change, particularly with fall, school's back in session. School's up and running, been up and running for a few weeks now. And summer is ending. Summer's ended. Now we're into fall. And that brings about the idea of change. Seasons change. Just like clockwork, seasons change. We go from fall to winter, spring to summer. Many people that I've talked to, their favorite time of the year is fall. My favorite time of the year is spring. I just love it when you can see things springing back to life and the grass is greening up and the flowers are blooming. Fall has its beautiful colors. Winter, well, we just won't say anything about winter, okay? Some people like winter, and that's okay. I'm not a fan of winter. But the whole idea of change, and I got to thinking about that. Change is sometimes difficult, isn't it? It's difficult for many reasons. But the truth of it, the truth of it is that change is inevitable. Just like the changing of seasons, it's inevitable. It seems like, we go from summer, whammo, into fall, and then bam, into winter, and then into spring, and then from spring, wow, we go right into summer. It doesn't seem like there's much transition, but change also does bring transition, doesn't it? You've noticed that the days are getting shorter, day by day. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. The sun is setting lower in the sky. Days are cooler. Nights are definitely cooler. Change is happening. Just like the changing of seasons, change will occur in our lives. But the real question isn't whether change is going to happen. It's going to happen. The question is, how do we handle that change? What happens? And I'm not talking about, I'm talking the whole gamut of change, whether it's in your own personal life, your spiritual life, your relational life with your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, family, children, all of those things. It could be your job, it could be your career, it could be maybe changing and going back to school, changing jobs, changing even work hours. Change is inevitable, but the question isn't whether change is going to come. Change happens, okay? It happens. Just like the passing of seasons, it's going to come, and there's really nothing we can do about change, but how we adapt to that change, that's the important question. So the good news here is that the change that I'm talking about is change within you. How is it that you can, just like the seasons, you can change and you can adapt? I've noticed that particularly in the wintertime, the temperatures are really cold and bitterly cold sometimes. And when we have those opportunities where the temperature gets like into the 40s or even into the 50s, boy, that's a real warm up. But when we talk about it in terms of summer, wow, that's really cold. See that? So I want to talk to you in this episode about change. How is it that you can adapt to the change, whatever the change is? It may be that you're single getting married. It could be that you're married and unfortunately you're getting divorced or you're separated. Doesn't matter what the change is. So I want you to think about that. No matter what the change is, that's what we're going to be talking about today. How can you adapt to change? So I want to give you 8 tips on how to adapt to change. Tip number 1, let go of things that you can't control. Let go of things that you can't control. I can't control whether spring comes or fall comes, right? I can't control that. I have no control over the weather. There are certain things in life that you and I cannot control. We can control ourselves and how we perceive it and how we adapt to it and how we adapt to change and all of that, but there are certain things that we just can't control. And so we need to let go of those things that we can't control. Most things are only a part of our life because you and I keep thinking about them. It's like we, what's the word? We obsess over them, right? Positive things happen in your life when you get emotional distance from those negative things. So a part of changing is changing the way you think. The Bible teaches, as a man thinks, so is he. As a man thinks, so is he. So we live our life by how we perceive it. If each day, and I'm begin to, I guess, think about this more than I ever have before. Each passing day, we get older. Each passing day, we can't go back and repeat the day before. We can't control that. There are people in our, listen, give up the idea that you could control anybody. You really can't. Other people allow you to control them, or you allow yourself to be controlled by them. So let go of things that you can't control. You can't control other people's behaviors. You can't control how they think about you. You can't control. All you can control is yourself. What are those past things, maybe even last week or last month, even last fall? What are those things that you just simply haven't been able to let go of? Let the things go that you can't control. Number 2, be clear about what you want to change. I have people that come into my office every single day and they say, well, I want to change. Well, what do you want to change? My life. Whoa, wait, whoa. Okay, what about your life do you want to change? I don't know. See that? Be very clear about what you do want to change. Do you want to change how you think? Now, it's a difficult process to do that. That's not an easy task because you've been thinking a certain way for so many years, and then to try to change that thinking? No. Be very clear about what you want to change. Write it down. Write it down. Listen, we've just started a new season. What a wonderful time to start thinking about, in this changing of seasons, how to change things in your life. Write it down and be very concrete. I want to change this in this length of time. You get that? I want to change this in this length of time. I want to change I'm just going to throw something out there. I want to change my weight. I want to lose X amount of pounds in the next 6 months. See that? That's concrete. That's doable. Set small stepping stones. Break down that goal into smaller steps. See, to say I want to change my life. I want to change how I think. I want to change how I behave. Those are great goals. It's great to have that. But how do you do that, right? And so, because that can be very overwhelming, right? I mean, that can just kind of knock us back. And then what happens is we get frustrated with that because it's so big that we get frustrated with that. So what I do with my clients is I have them write down, what is it that you want to accomplish? At the end of our time together, what is it that you would like to accomplish? Write that down. Put it in a notebook. Keep it beside your bed at night to where you see it at night before you go to bed, and then you see it the next morning when you get up. So break it down into, be very, very clear about what you do want to change. Number 3 is changing your perspective. I've already briefly mentioned that. Changing your perspective. Are you just existing? Are you taking up space, sucking into air, taking up space? Or are you really living? Jesus said, "I want to give you life, but not just existing. I want to give you a superabundance of life." See that? I want you to really enjoy life. Change your perspective. Change is like breathing. It isn't a part of the process. It's the process. Think about that. It's like you and I breathing, where we don't, it's not something that we just. It's part of what we do. It's part of our process. It's part of all the things that we do. Change your perspective. Prepare. Think positively. Now I know you might be sitting there saying, "Well, Jim, you don't understand. This is the way I've been all my life." Okay. Think about that. That's the way you've been. Well, what has that gotten you? Well, it's gotten me misery. Oh, so you enjoy being miserable? See that? Change your perspective about things. Change your perspective about you. I often say, when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror, even on a bad hair day, what do you see looking back at you? Is this going to be a good day? The Bible says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." Yeah, but I don't have anything to rejoice about. Really? You're up and you're breathing, you're walking, you're talking. You got people who love you. You got people that you love. There's a lot of good things going on. Growth without change is impossible. You cannot grow without changing. There was a time in which I was a teenager. Some of you that are watching this, you were teenagers. All of us were. And so, listen, we can't grow up without changing. And so we adapt from a child's world to an adolescent world, from an adolescent world into a young adult world, from a young adult world into a middle adult, older adult, retired. So change happens. Growth cannot happen without change. And so maybe what you need to do in the fall of the year here is you need to just look at changing your perspective on things, how you look at things, how you view things. Number 4, hold tight to the things that are good. Hold tight to listen, there's a lot of negativity in this world. I mean, just flip on the TV or get on social media. So, I mean, there's negativity all over the place. Hold on to those good things. There are a lot of good things in your life. Now, there may be some bad things. I get that. There may be some negative things. I get that. But think about the good things. The Apostle Paul exhorts us to do that. If anything is beautiful, if anything is noble, if anything is of good report, he says, think on these things. Think on the good things. Yeah, but you don't understand. There's nothing, I get up in the morning and it rains on me all day long. There's a cloud around me all day long. Yeah, well, that goes back to my previous point. Change your perspective. Hold on to those things that are good. There are good things going on in your life. You just haven't maybe looked at it. And so with this changing of the season, hold on to those things that are good. Have a grip on those. There's a lot of negative things that can happen throughout the day, the week, the month, even the year. But there are good things as well. And so when you hold on to those good things, guess what? You're going to have a more positive perspective about yourself and about your life in general. Number 5, strive for excellence and push perfection aside. Strive for excellence and push excellence aside. Listen, are you perfectionistic? Do you have to have things perfect all the time? You have to have, if you're a female, you have to have the makeup just perfect, your hair just perfect, clothes just perfect. your house just perfect, your job just perfect. Are you a perfectionistic person? Listen, strive for excellence. Nothing wrong with excellence. We need to be excellent at everything we do. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you need to be excellent in everything you do. If you're a hard-working guy or a hard-working woman, hey, you need to be excellent at what you do. Strive for excellence and push this perfection thing, push it aside. No one on the face of this earth, there was only one person who was perfect, and and he died and rose and now is in heaven. That's Jesus. There's nobody else is perfect. No one. And so the more you strive for perfection, the more you're going to fail, because there's nobody perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. If you strive for excellence, you'll be surprised at what you're actually capable of doing. Even the things that, watch this, the things that I do around my house here, things like cutting grass and even painting. I've been doing a lot of painting here in the last few weeks. Tired of painting, but I've been doing a lot of painting, and I don't do that perfectly. I'm not a painter by profession, by any stretch of the imagination. And so, if you were to look real close, you would see inconsistencies and maybe paint's lapped over into another color, and if I try to build something, believe me, I'm not a builder, but if I try to build something, it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be those little flaws there. But I strive for excellence. I want to make it the best I can do. If I'm cutting the grass, I want to cut it the best I can do. If I'm painting something, I want to do it the best I can do. Strive for excellence and push perfection aside. And I think if you do that, if you begin to change that with this new change of the season here in the fall, if you will do that, man, that's going to carry you a long, 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 long way. Number 6, and I think this is a big one. Learn from mistakes and apply those lessons to various areas of your life. Learn from your mistakes. Have you made a mistake today? Well, if you haven't, hang on, you will. Because remember, none of us are perfect, right? So you're going to make a mistake. The question is, are you going to learn from that mistake so that you don't repeat it and so that you can grow from that? That's the question here. Learn from your mistakes. And here's the critical part of this. Don't let your mistakes define you. Don't let those mistakes define you. Don't carry them around with you as you would like excess baggage. I'm just a foul up. I can't do anything right. See, that's that perception thing that I was talking about. I can't do anything. So, well, listen. There's a saying that people in the building industry have: measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. Well, for me, it's measure 5 times, cut 3 times, and then throw that away and start all over again. That's what happens to me. Learn from your mistakes. Maybe you made a mistake in the career that you chose, and you're several years into that, and it's not doing it for you anymore, and so you want to make a change. Learn from your mistakes. Maybe there's a wonderful adage that says all pencils have erasers on them. Why? Because we all make mistakes. So you erase it, you start over, you learn from that mistake. That's how we grow. That's how we change. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then you're really not learning anything. AA has a saying, insanity is defined as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. You just don't. It's kind of like going on a merry-go-round. You keep going around and around and around and making the same mistake over and over and over again. I have individuals, both male and female, who will say to me in the office, they'll say, I don't get it. I just don't get it how I can get into the same kind of relationships over and over and over and over again. Well, you know what? You haven't learned from your mistakes. You just keep repeating the same mistake over and over again. Listen, we need to all learn from our mistakes. That's an important way to grow. Don't define yourself by that. but instead learn from that. Don't define yourself by your mistakes. Well, I'm just a foul up. Well, welcome to the club. We all are that way, but we just need to learn from our mistakes. Number 7, that kind of dovetails off of that, the last one here, and that is appreciate what you've learned. Appreciate what you've learned. So you've made a mistake, you've learned from it. Now appreciate what you've learned, and go back over maybe over the last few months, the last few years, and think about those mistakes. And have you learned anything from that? Well, then appreciate what you've learned. See, things. Some people, again, this goes back to your perspective. Some people think in terms of things happen to them. I rather believe that things happen for you. Whatever the situation is, whatever the circumstances is, you either view it as it's happening to you or for you. Appreciate what you have learned. There are skills that I have learned over the years that I just acquired. I learned it from my mistakes. I sought out information, particularly on YouTube. I sought out information, and I learned from that, and then I go on. And so appreciate what you've learned. Give yourself a break. We're learning, when you think about it, we're learning from the time we're born to the very time we die. We're all the time learning. None of us have ever arrived. None of us will arrive this side of heaven. So you're always learning, always striving, setting that perfection thing aside, learning from your mistakes, and then appreciating what you've learned. And then finally, number 8, and that is realize that every step is necessary. Every step is necessary. Wow. One of the things that I just kind of get a kick out of, particularly on Facebook, is these babies or infants, and they're learning how to walk for the first time, and how they're giggling and all that. I just love watching that. I start laughing myself. But think about when your kids started first walking. First they learn to roll over back and forth, and then they're up on all fours and they're crawling around all over the place. And then that magic day happens when they pull themselves up and they make that first step. Every step is necessary. It's not a matter of things going wrong. Things can't be wrong if we learn from them, right? Things either happen to you or for you. Whatever you did today, whatever you do today will be a step toward tomorrow. Whatever you did yesterday is a step forward to today. Think about it. Just sit and think for just a moment. There was something of value that you learned yesterday. Now, it may not have been positive, but there's something that you learned yesterday that you can apply to today. Well, every step is necessary, so you can be proud of the fact that you've taken one more step, and then one more step, and one more step. Think about that. All of us are like that. First, we're learning to roll over. That's a big milestone, rolling over. And then we start crawling. And then we pull ourselves up and we take that first step, and then that second step. And when we take that first step, well, man, we're just kind of wobbling. You ever watched a little baby? They're just wobbling all over the place. But eventually, just like you and I now, we just walk. See that? Every step is necessary. Every step that we take is a learning opportunity. That's what change is about. It's whenever I see the changing of seasons, particularly summer into fall, and I see, even though fall is not my favorite time of the year, it's just not. But I so appreciate that with fall comes the changing of the colors of the trees. Have you noticed that? Man, there's all kinds of beautiful, bright colors. I mean, God puts on a show for the fall. And if we didn't have fall, we wouldn't have that. And it's different than spring. I mean, spring, you got the flowers coming up and you got all that going on. But fall is where the colors, all of that changing of colors of the leaves and on the trees, it's just beautiful to watch God's handiwork at work. Every step is necessary. So without fall, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the beautiful colors, different colors of the trees. Every step is necessary. We have to have winter in order for the ground to be replenished with certain nutrients provided by the snow. We have to have cold weather in order to kill all the ticks and the bugs on the ground. See that every step is necessary. We have spring and we have the spring rains. Why? So that replenishes again the earth. We get warmer weather. That begins to help the germination and the growth of the grass and the trees and the leaves. Every step is necessary. And so the same is true with you and I. Every step is necessary. Now, it may be a difficult step for you. Maybe the step is that you're ending a toxic relationship. I did a podcast last week on toxic relationships. Maybe your step is to end that toxic relationship. Maybe your next step is to say yes to that one that you've fallen in love with and you want to spend the rest of your life with. Maybe your next step is to get healthier. Maybe your next step is to renew an acquaintance, an old acquaintance. Whatever it is, we all have that necessary step to growth and to change. I remember being 16 years old, and there's that rite of passage, man. We get our license and we're able to drive. But in order to do that, I had to take a driver's test, and then I practiced driving, the written test, and then I practiced driving for a while with my permit, and then I took the practical part of the driving test, and I passed that. All of that is necessary steps. See that? When you're going to settle down and live your life with your partner, you're going to get married. You go through necessary steps. You get to know one another. You have that commonality that progresses. You really feel like, and you settle in, this is the person for me. You ask them to marry you. You say yes. There's a necessary step. See that? You get engaged, and then the wedding, and you progress through your married life. Every step is necessary. So if every step is necessary, then every step is for me, not to me. It's for me. It's for me to learn. It's for me to grow. It's for me to mature. It's for me to learn from my mistakes and all the other things that I've talked about today. So let me do this. That's the eight tips that I would give you about embracing the changing season in your life. So let me just kind of wrap this up. You may have made a ton of mistakes. You may be resistant to change. You just don't like things to change, and so you've resisted it. But the more you resist it, the more problems you have dealing with change. Change is going to happen whether you and I wanted to or not. Change is going to happen. You may have many lost opportunities of the past months, the past year, maybe the past several years. Lost opportunities. But you can embrace change, learning from all of that. Learning from the past, you can embrace the change for today and all your tomorrows. Some of the things that have happened to you may not be very positive. I mean, they may just be really ugly. I get that. But today you can embrace change. Change for the better you. See that? As a man thinks, so is he. Think about that. Let that sink in. I want you to look at, with the changing of the season, going from summer to fall now, all the beautiful colors. think about change in the weather and in the season, but think about, how is it that I need to change? What is it about me that I need to change? You know, we're all the time thinking about how other people ought to change. Well, they need to stop doing that, or they need to start doing that. Well, what about you? What about you? What is it in this changing season that you would decide today, this week, you would decide, you know what, I'm going to set this goal of change. And here's what I'm going to change. Remember, be specific. Here's what I'm going to change. And if you will do that, if you will embrace change, you're going to be a better person. The people around you are going to be better people because you are a better person. And you're going to enjoy life a whole lot much better. What are you going to do today? Are you going to embrace change just like the season, or are you going to resist it? The choice is yours. The consequences or the blessings are yours as well. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. If something I have said today has raised some concerns or questions, there's 3 ways that you can get a hold of me. I would love to talk to you. Number 1, you can call me at my office. My office number is 573-732-4575. Again, that's 573-732-4575. Again, the second way is you can email me. My email address is lifelineonline@hotmail.com, lifelineonline@hotmail.com. A third way is if you're watching this over Facebook, you can private message me. A lot of people have been doing that. Private message me. You can ask me a question. You can set up an appointment. We can dialogue that way. It doesn't matter to me how we do that. I just want to talk to you about change in your life, changing it from what it is now to something even much better that you will enjoy, and you will see how much better you will enjoy life all over in every aspect of your life. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you right here next time on Lifeline for Daily Living.